You're listening to episode 695 of the Father Bills Podcast. Welcome back. This week's episode is entitled Being a Good Shepherd, given on the fourth Sunday in Easter, 2019. Today we have a coming together of three themes. The first of which, it's Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. We all have a mother. If you're not a mother yourself, we all have mothers. Everybody should be able to celebrate that. It's also World Day of Prayer for Vocations. Mothers is a vocation, isn't it? Well, and actually the church in this case is trying to focus on the vocation of priesthood, diaconate, etc. But we can still be reminded, I should say, that there are vocations, and probably the most difficult ones aren't the priesthood. I'd like to propose it as being a mom and a dad. If you're a mom and a dad, you know how difficult this is. The third of the theme is Good Shepherd Sunday. So I'm thinking, how do I put all those together? Well, priests are shepherds, and that's where they get, of course, the whole idea of this weekend being Good Shepherd Sunday, and then why we would pray for vocations. But if a mom has got to be, if that's a vocation, then she's called to be a good shepherd. Now, fathers, you'll get your day, but today's not that day. One of those wonderful things today is after Mass, you'll find that if you want to go over to the hall, the Knights of Columbus are having a breakfast, and ladies, you get to have your day. You get to have free breakfast. There is a free breakfast, at least once a year for you here. I'd like to share with you a story about myself, which may be a little bit surprising, but it's a great story of being shepherded or not being shepherded. So let's go back to when I was in fourth grade. In my fourth grade class, one of the topics, of course, is math. And in the math class, they had a list, a little board with little stars on it of the assignments that we would do. But the whole thing was self-paced. I would do assignment A, and then next I'd do assignment B at my own pace. Well, I don't know about you, but did you like math when you were young? Well, so that's kind of a friction moment, isn't it? Do you like to do, or will you likely do, what you don't like doing? No, we generally avoid the things we don't like doing. So not that I was against math, I just self-paced myself. The consequence of self-pacing myself, because I was not shepherded, because I don't consider that, as I look back on it, shepherded, I consider that do whatever you like to do. Was it in fifth grade, I took fourth grade math over again. Not only that, the class that I was in was, let's just say, was all the troublemakers. Was all the kids that were, well, problems. I'm thinking, what am I doing in here? But clearly, when I was in there, I had to learn math better. I needed to probably get better grammar, too, and I never got through that, apparently. So then, after fifth grade, I moved into sixth grade, and yes! I'm in fifth grade math now. I'm a year behind, clearly 2 years in a row. But now something changes. My mom recognizes that this is not okay. I start to recognize it's not okay. And so I finally get busy to do the work I was supposed to do at the beginning with. I finally actually memorized my multiplication tables and my addition. I had tricks that I figured out. Figured out on my own. And what did they do? They put me well behind, and so I self-paced myself with low friction and found myself well behind. So mom and dad for Christmas probably gave me one of the best things they ever could give me. At that time, calculators were kind of spendy. Well, so they bought me a calculator that was about math games, which helped me learn all these things I needed to learn. And so in sixth grade, I was at the top of my class. The fifth grade class, that is. Yeah. But now I'm being shepherded. So when I move into 7th grade, I finally move into 7th grade math. Yeah, woohoo, right? Yeah. I learned my lesson, but I learned it because I was being shepherded, finally. I learned the lesson so well that I realized the door to my future will be all open, or many doors will be open if I continue to take math. And of course, now in your high school, I'm now a freshman in high school, moving forward with a regular group of people that would be normally at my class level. So I finally made it to my class level. But you didn't have to take math the whole time. But I realized that would be a dumb decision on my part. And luckily I had sisters. My next sister up, Anne, she was pretty good at math, and I saw that doors were opening for her. So I continued to take math all the way through high school. I continued to take math all the way through my time at Oregon State. In fact, guess what I ended up graduating in? Yes, I ended with a bachelor's and a master's in math education. So not only did I learn my lesson, I needed to shepherd other people about what I learned. And so as a math teacher, I recognized in the class, because sometimes I was teaching, let's say, Algebra 2 for seniors, which meant they're a year behind as well. I understand what it is to have math anxiety. I had moments when professors would ask me to add 2 fractions together, and I'd just freeze. I understand this. But it is no excuse not to go forward. And we can overcome this. I did, because I was shepherded. By the way, I continued, again, I mentioned, all the way through bachelor's and all the way through master's. And even when I got to seminary, walking into seminary with the master's degree, there's this part called pre-theology. It's kind of helping us get the work that we needed to do for philosophy. And because they had prerequisites already done, they're trying to fill my schedule. And they said, well, how about you take a math class? I'm like, really? I mean, that would be skating. I thought, you mean you want me to teach a math class? Because I was a math teacher. Oh, I guess we shouldn't probably put that on your schedule. I'm like, yeah, probably not. And I finally ended my math career after, it's like 4 years of undergraduate, 5, just add a little extra, 3 years of master's work. So let's just call it 7 or 8 years of graduate or undergraduate math. I'm so glad. I say this because I wasn't shepherded at some point. And then I finally was. And we need good shepherds. Moms, you have the most difficult job in the world, and especially in today's culture. In today's culture, we have this attitude of they'll figure it out on their own. My friends, I stand before you to say that is not shepherding, especially in certain areas. We don't do this in a lot of things. Like, for example, you would never say, well, you don't need to eat your vegetables. Do whatever you need to do. Feel free. Whatever you like. Well, if I had my way as a kid, I would never eat vegetables. Or maybe a good shepherding, we would say, no, you need to go to bed. Or you need to get up certain times. Or crossing the street. We don't just say, hey, by the way, figure out crossing the street. Because you know what the penalty is for that. When you make a mistake, that's the end of it. I mean, you're done. You're dead. We don't do that. Or school, we say you need to go to school. And not just because it's a law, but because it's about the truth. See, here's the deal. We're called to proclaim the truth. Maybe you want to help your children in sports. You don't just say, well, whenever you want to go to practice, it's okay, but you know what, that'll happen. The coach won't put up with that. You'll get removed from the team, or if you don't go to the practice, you won't be able to play. We never just say, well, whatever you want to do, you'll figure it out. See, when our people are young, they're like sheep. Jesus makes this pretty clear. And we're kind of like sheep. You know what sheep do if one walks off into the wilderness? Other sheep follow. They're kind of dumb. No, they in fact are pretty unintelligent. Have you ever watched a sheep just kind of gather because one goes one way and they all follow? They're mindless in this way. They follow another. A shepherd would never say to their sheep, do whatever you want, you'll figure it out. They just never do that. That's called bad shepherding. So moms, you don't do this. But see, you have a difficult job. One of the most difficult jobs, especially in our culture today, where there's a lot of things against you. One of those things is the belief of who we are. You'll figure it out. You'll figure out who you are. You'll figure out what you need to do to be who you are. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We are called as parents to shepherd our kids because they don't know that eating their Wheaties is good for them. We must help them. They don't know that making sure they do these classes and don't do drugs are things they need to learn. We need to shepherd them. But I find it curious because when it comes to faith and sexual ethics, we do a brain dump. And I'm talking about everybody in our culture. We do a brain dump. Well, I don't want to shove my religion down their throat. They'll figure it out on their own. Holy mackerel. See, here's an interesting thing. If you, as a Catholic, are going to get married, the assumption is that you're going to baptize and raise your kids in the faith. If you're marrying a non-Catholic, as a Catholic, there's actually a piece of paper that we have you sign. Why? Because we're not sure that you're going to make that commitment. Oh, I'm going to shove that religion down my child's throat. I'm like, is this not the truth? Because if it isn't, then we should get rid of that paperwork and do whatever you want. But here's the deal. Jesus proclaimed himself to be the truth. I'm the way, the truth, and the life. And we need to be teaching our kids. Not just teaching them, we need to be examples. And so I go back to my mom. My mom was a wonderful example. We always went to Mass every Sunday. Even when we went camping, even if I tried to, because Dad was very much on this point, but he'll also have his story later. When we'd be camping in Prineville, we would drive all the way in 30 minutes, ruining my day, going to church, and I'm not happy about this, because, we get back and half of my day is over. God bless my parents. Because by example, they showed me what was most important. Camping is great. Church is greater. But it doesn't mean that it's entertaining. I was truly bored. I didn't know what was going on. The words, the guy with the big, dress up there was saying stuff. I don't know what he's doing. I'd rather be playing with my Hot Wheels in the dirt. Thanks. You ruined my day. I couldn't get my way because I was the 9th of 9. Okay, so let's just say I couldn't say, you're being mean, because everybody else was there and nobody was on my side. Especially the 2 shepherds of my family. So I look at my mom and I recognize, not only did she do those kind of things, she was involved in their church. She worked for birthright. One of those things she taught me, which was so precious, that the church has always taught, is that life begins at conception. Life does not begin whenever I'm going to figure it out. Do you see my point here? Because there's people who tell us that. That is bad shepherding. That is not the truth. And because that is not the truth, people will justify abortion and other things. See how then in the area of sexual ethics, we just do a brain dump. We'll say, I have my right to choose. What about the little girl in the womb? She didn't have any choice at all. And 50% of the people in a womb are girls. So there's a big lie going on. But see, when we say, we'll just figure it out, well, if you do that, then we're going to figure out, and it's going to be the most common narrative of our culture, whatever that is. And unfortunately, a very unjust law came through with Roe versus Wade. And so we will say, it's all right. It's an immoral law. And we do not have to obey an immoral law. There's other laws like it that we have to work on. Like we should be working towards removing the death penalty. Because life not only begins at conception, it continues until natural death. I'm opening up a can of worms here. You're probably going, I can't get into the details, but you know what? If you come today at the Grill Father Bill, I'd be happy to discuss these in further length. But today we have this homily. I just wanted to share these points that we can't just figure it out. We couldn't just figure out Jesus. Being a Christian is hard. Remember, there's friction here. If you tell a teenager to do whatever they want, one of those things I would do is say, it's hard to get up in the morning. I'm not going to go to church. I would choose that. But as a parent, as a mom, we need to, you could say, push our kids and encourage them and woo them so that that friction, yeah, it's there, but you know what? Being a Christian is a friction. We as Christians stand up for the truth, and our world does not agree with us, does not believe. And it's being thwarted on us in areas where we were doing good and now are being thwarted. Our school just recently, we would sign up for grants. And we have a discrimination policy. Well, one of the groups that we have commonly gotten grants with changed their discrimination policy to add so-called gender theory, to which we do not subscribe to gender theory. You want to know what the revelation is of a boy or a girl? When they're born, you can see it. Their gender is connected with their sex, but we as a culture have disconnected this. And if you say we're going to figure it out on their own, you just go to the public school, and they will allow you to subscribe to whatever mental illness you subscribe to. I choose to be a girl, even though all my genetics say something different. There's no science behind this, by the way, this gender theory. The church has been very clear about this. I know this is controversial, but it is, and it's a hard saying because we're going against ever more the stream of things. So therefore, we have a discrimination policy about treating people with dignity, but that doesn't mean we're going to subscribe to things that are anti-Christian. So now we can't get a grant because this, what we call a new policy, which is mirroring our government, now disallows other faith-filled groups who are doing good. Our school, by the way, is doing awesome stuff. We are at May? By the way, we have the largest that I can think of, a registration at our school at 77. We're usually around 25 at this point. The more this happens, I think parents, as I've come to know them, are like, I don't want my kids to go to that school because they're being told things that are not true. They're not shepherding them. They're not shepherding them in the way of the truth. We need to be shepherding people in the way of the truth, that God has given us dignity and an identity. I don't get to figure out who I am. I need to figure out God who made me who I am. I'm not looking for self-esteem. I need to be looking for God-esteem. Because self-esteem is based on how I'm doing today. But see, if I look to God and believe what he tells me about myself, I will know that he's the good shepherd, and I'm one of his sheep, and he loves me deeply. And as a mom, we're called to do, well, I'm not a mom. As a mom, you're called to do that, to let them know God loves them. No matter what struggle they may have, God loves them, and so do you. But we also need to direct them, because they will be directionless without our help. And in fact, I'd like to propose, the more our culture continues in this deformation of sexual ethics, they will be more and more deforming who they are. Some people, they say, well, okay, we'll take them to a transition clinic. They're not going to help them get some counseling. They're going to give them hormone-blocking drugs as a child. This is near child abuse. And so whatever development they'll have is now stopped. When this doesn't happen, and when they are encouraged by their family to work through their struggles, 80% of the time they figure it out by the time they're 19. So there's no data that says by giving them medicine is going to help them. It actually harms them. See, if we were saying, I want to smoke as a young kid, we would say, no, don't do that. That's good shepherding. See, we're about the truth. So we need to tell them about our faith. Because if we don't, and if we don't live it, what are we going to get? We're going to get secular atheists. Because it's much more convenient in our culture to be of the culture. I wonder, if you were sent, or if I was sent to court and accused of being a Christian, would there be evidence that I'm a Christian? I hope there would be. Many people have died for this faith. And by the way, we're not making stuff up. We believed all these things from the beginning. If we take our Judeo-Christian history and tradition, these beliefs about the human person have always been with us. And all of a sudden, now we're bigots, we're prejudiced. Do you see the deception here? And especially if we go at the most fundamental thing of who we are, that is co-creators with God. So we need to partner with people like our Pregnancy Care Center, who we'll hear from today. And they are trying to strive to save these children. And we need to partner with them because they're there to proclaim the truth. They too, by the way, don't get government assistance because they can't subscribe to these policies of discrimination either. I find it curious because they have the government has a policy of discrimination, and they're discriminating against us. Many Catholic charities, adoption clinics have been closed because we choose to seek out moms and dads to be parents. And because we won't do it for gay couples, we're discriminated against. So they can go somewhere else. They have a choice. But as Benedict and Francis have said, there's a dictatorship of relativism afoot. That before we used to be able to disagree and still get along. Now, if you disagree, you're out, or now you're doing something illegal. We need shepherds, and we need moms to shepherd. We need dads to shepherd the truth. And it is hard. It is so hard to be a Christian now more than ever. I run into this as a priest. I run into a priest that we've lost our way about what marriage is. And we're buying into what the culture says. That's only going to cause destruction in our lives. So we stand kind of as an island, and we partner as much as we can with other Christian churches so that we can proclaim this truth. Because, see, the truth will set us free. It's a hard truth, but it is truly loving. Think about the crucifix. That was hard. Imagine if Jesus said, well, I'm not going to get on the cross. They'll figure it out on their own. No, we wouldn't. We couldn't. In fact, that's why he came, because we weren't. After thousands of years, we still couldn't figure it out. Finally, he had to come and reveal to us the Trinity, reveal to us the greatest form of love is sacrifice. And today that sacrifice finds ourselves, as Christians, the largest persecuted and martyred group of people on the planet. Yeah, more people are being killed for the faith now. Go to Africa. Check it out. A lot of Catholics there. A lot of other Christians are there. And they're being killed for their faith. So we need good shepherds, and it's so hard in this time today. I want to tell you that we need mothers, and I want to pray for mothers. Please, mothers, shepherd your children. Please don't say they'll figure it out on their own, because they won't. If they do, that's sheer miracle. The faith needs to be caught, and the only way to catch it is to be led by a shepherd, to be shown what it looks like, to be like my own mom, who had to make sacrifices for me and our family that were faith-based. We're going to do this because we're called to, because this is what the Lord calls us to. Yeah, I didn't enjoy it when I was a kid, but now I look at it and I go, yeah, the Lord Jesus is God. He deserves all my attention. Before sports, before even math, before computers, before my nerdy occupations, the Lord is number one. Yeah, I fail at this. I'm a sinner. I got my stuff in my garbage. And I partner with you in that journey to try to seek out the Lord's reconciliation, because he is our shepherd. And remember, that shepherd wants to gather his flock. If there's a flock that's missing or a sheep that's missing, be it me or you, he wants to gather us back together. So seek him out while he can be found. He is found here. He can be found in our moms and in our dads and hopefully our priests, hopefully in the friends and your neighbors. But remember, we need to know what the truth is, because if we don't, we'll drink the Kool-Aid, actually, of our culture, and that could be poison to our soul. There's some great things our culture does too, though, but I just want to offer this challenge to us today, to be really good shepherds. It's difficult. We need to pray for especially our young couples getting married and having children, because they're entering into a world that we older people never had to deal with. And they need all the support they can get from us, that they're loved, they're encouraged, and we need to, when they're struggling to be a parent, we need to be there to back them up and let them know that we love them and you can do it. We're here for you. It's hard. Let us love them and show them by our time and our prayers. God bless you all on this great challenge. On this Mother's Day, let's pray for vocations of the priesthood, but today also, let's really especially pray for the vocation of motherhood, of true shepherds that'll shepherd our children to the way, the truth, and the life. Who is that? It's Jesus. God bless you all. Thank you again for listening to this episode of the Father Bills Podcast. As always, if you have any questions or comments, just go to my website, fatherbill.org, FRBILL.org, and there you can email me, see what's going on my Facebook or Twitter and Instagram, and I will do my best to get back to you as soon as I can to answer those questions. So in the meantime, may God bless you, and have a great week, and happy Mother's Day.